Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. May peace, mercy, and blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be with you. Okay, in this video, we will discuss about objective approach atau pendekatan objektif. This material will be explained by Rina Alentia Fadila, Muhammad Fadul Nurzaki, and Rizka Novia Damayanti. Well, this is the content in these materials. First, we will learn the definition. The second is application. Third is the advantages and disadvantages. Then basic concept. And the last but not least, the example of objective approach.
Okay, now we are going to definition of objective approach. The objective approach is an approach that is based on a literary work as a whole. Objective approach deals with the work of literature as something that stands free from extrinsic relations to the poet, or to the audience, or to the environing world, and to be analyzed and judged by intrinsic criteria such as its complexity, coherence, equilibrium, integrity, and the interrelations of its component elements. Additionally, objective approach is free from author's experience and social background. The approach that was used in this research was objective approach, in which this research is not dealing with the literary writer, the audience, or even the environing world of the poet and the poem, such as whom, where, when, and how the poem was written. In this research, otherwise, the researcher only focused on the world of the poem in itself rather than its environing world or even the audience of the literary work. Approach refers to the way someone comes closer or enters personal relation with somebody or something. And in the next slide, application of the objective approach. This approach is more widely used in the field of poetry. In simple terms, the application of an objective approach in analyzing literary work, in this case poetry, can be formulated as follows. First, describe the structural elements of literary work. Second, examine the relationship of meaning between the elements with one another. Third, describe the function and the relationship between the elements intrinsic of the work concerned. In line with that, Jojo Suroto suggests an analysis of strategies for understanding poetry. The strategy begins with 1. Understanding the meaning of words, 2. Understanding lines and stanza, and 3. Understanding the totality of meaning.
So for the next slide is about the advantage and disadvantage of the objective approach. So for the strength, the structural approach provides an opportunity to conduct a more detailed and deeper study. This approach tries to see literature as a literary work by only questioning what is inside of it, giving feedback to the author so that it can encourage the writer to write more careful and thorough. For the weaknesses, literary works cannot be studied in isolation and must be understood in a literary system with historical background. So the existence of objective elements in literary work is doubtful because the role of the reader is sufficient in contributing to meaning. And for the next slide is about basic concepts of objective approach. So the structural approach was pioneered by the Russian formalists and the Prague structuralism, which was directly influenced by social theory, which changed the study of linguistics from a diachronic to a synchronic approach. The study of linguistics is no longer emphasized on the history of its development, but on the relationship between its elements. The objective approach is an approach that pays full attention to the literary work as an autonomous structure. Therefore, this paper leads to an analysis of literary works. In essence, the theory of structuralism assumes that literary works are a structure whose elements are interrelated, so that the elements do not have meaning by themselves. Their meaning is determined by the interrelationship with other elements so as to form the totality of meaning. The aim is to describe as accurately as possible the interrelationship of all elements of a literary work together so as to produce the meaning of a literary work as a whole.
Well, now let's discuss about example of how to use objective approach for learning literary work. So we take an example in field of poem study. Okay, before we jump in, now we should read the poem first.
Over hill, over dale, through a bush, through a briar, over park, over pale, through a flood, through a fire. I do wander everywhere, swifter than the moon's sphere, and I serve the fairy queen, to dew her orbs upon the green. The cowslips tall her pensioners be, in their gold coat spots you see. Those be rubies, fairy favours, in those freckles live their saviours. I must go seek some dewdrops here, and hang a pearl in every cowslip's ear.
So yeps, this is the example of the poem we're gonna discuss. The title is A Fairy Song by William Shakespeare. Okay, to begin the critique, we should try to present the basic information which concern with the intrinsic element of the poem gonna be analyzed, such as stanza, rhyme, and language device. Okay, let's discuss it one by one. Right, based on the poem, it has sonnet as stanza pattern. Why sonnet? Because it consists of one stanza and 14 lines. Next, language device. The poem has hyperbole language in line 4 and line 6. Through flood, through fire, swifter than moon spire. Then used personification in line 14, and hang a pearl in every cowslip ear. Also use simile language device in line 6, swifter than the moon spire. Next is the rhyme. This poem has AB, AB as a rhyme in line 1 until 4. Why has rhyme AB, AB? Because at the end of the word sound similar, like dell, bell, briar, fire. After we understanding the basic versification of the poem, then we goes to know what the poem tells about, and what the meaning of the poem. Well, in our best understanding, the fairy song is a poem about fairy going around and sprinkling dewdrops on the flowers. He's sprinkling dewdrops for the fairy queen. A cowslip is the type of the flower that he's sprinkling the dew on. To help the fairy queen sprinkling dewdrops on the flowers, the writers must go everywhere like gales, fires, and floods. He spread the dew on every place that he passed. So that's all for these materials. Thank you very much for your attention. Let's wrap it by listening Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.